All right, it says it's recording and then it says it's live. Hey guys, happy Monday, August 27th. We are episode 228 of the TED Show today. So give us a thumbs up, let us know you can hear us or see us as you pop on. I'm with my friend David Grimm, who's running for Orange County School Board, specifically District 2, Orange County School Board. And so I don't know if you know the story, David, but I did an entire show once where they could not hear anything.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, Ernie, what's up, buddy? Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us. Jason Perez, I think we got a thumbs up. So, yes, that's why I always ask them, because it was horrific and embarrassing that I had to bring the person back on.
I made a mistake one time of doing a Facebook Live video where it was facing me, and then I turned the camera around, and come to find out the volume doesn't work.
Yeah, you know, we're learning as we do these new technology things. So welcome to the show. Thanks for being on. I really do appreciate it. And tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow is Election Day, August 28th here in pretty much all of Orange County, Central Florida. We have a lot of races going on. Thanks, Jason. All good. So give us a little background on you before we jump into the election. I mean, I think people like to know your background, how you got into education, and maybe your why eventually, about why it's important for you to run for office. So give us a little background.
So first of all, Ted, I appreciate you having me out on the TED Show today. As Ted said, my name is David Grimm. I am a candidate for the school board race in Orange County. I have been a lifelong resident of Central Florida. I actually grew up in Seminole County in the Fern Park area. And then when I was 12, we moved just off of Chickasaw Trail over in the southeast part of the county. And I was a Colonial High School student.
Where'd you go to junior high?
I actually went to Liberty Middle School.
Me too. I went to Liberty Middle School.
7th and 8th grade. My gym teacher, when I had school at Liberty, ended up being my co-worker when I was getting my internship done at UCF. So. And I believe his name's Gary Stewart. He's still there today.
How funny is that?
Yeah, so
I mean, Liberty was a great school. I went to Colonial too, so that was amazing. So I used to have an office on Chickasaw and Curry Ford in that Publix shopping place.
Okay, so I actually worked at that Publix just after high school.
I love it.
I lived walking distance. I was probably less than a quarter mile from Liberty Middle School.
Oh my God, I love it. So. I mean, I have fond memories of both. It's a different world now than it was, certainly when I graduated in the 1600s to when you graduated, but it's definitely changed. So you graduate Colonial, and then what do you do? Do you stay local? Do you go off?
So let me first talk about some experience that I had at Colonial High School.
Love it.
So I was involved in athletics, played baseball and football throughout my high school career. And something quite interesting that's kind of led my life's trajectory in a different direction than I had planned was when I was a junior in high school. I actually broke my neck playing football at Colonial High School.
That's right. That was in
the crazy part about it is I walked off the field. And so, you know, you walk off the field after a football injury, you're thinking, you know, I got my bell rung, maybe have a concussion. And later found out that night that I had actually fractured my vertebrae.
Wow.
The doctor said I was probably an eighth of an inch away from being quadriplegic. And so we were obviously very thankful that the injury wasn't more severe. However, like I mentioned, that trajectory of my life changed dramatically. And
so what happened?
That future of athletics kind of had to take a back seat because, you know, due to that injury, I wasn't able to continue my athletic career out after high school. So like many people in their life, went through some tough times, was kind of lost. You know, I was blessed with a child at a young age, but it made life very difficult. I had my daughter Shelby, who is now 22. She just graduated college actually from Florida Atlantic, so we're super excited for her. But it made life very challenging, you know, from the finances to the stress of being a young parent. And so I kind of was lost, like I said. And my mom was a bookkeeper for Orange County Public Schools and actually encouraged me. She said, you know, you would be really good with kids and working as a teacher, and potentially you could get involved in coaching, because she knew how important athletics was to me. So I actually went to a job fair that Orange County Public Schools had hosted, and I walked in there not really knowing what to expect, not having any idea what I wanted to do as far as education goes. And I was literally 5 seconds away from leaving the job fair, and had a lady grab me, and she said, she asked me some questions to wonder what I was interested in, and we sat down at this table, and she introduced me to what ended up being my first principal that I ever worked for. Her name was Melanie Craig at Bay Meadows Elementary.
Bay Meadows, where's that?
It's over off of Apopka Vineland. It's in the Dr. Phillips area. Wonderful elementary school, and that's where my education career began back in 1998. So I have loved this job. I have gained so much from it, the relationships that I've built with my students, the families that I've met, the colleagues that I've met throughout the district. It's just been such a blessing for me and my family. And my wife is actually a teacher as well. So
there's 2 teachers in the family.
Yeah. So
where does she teach at the same school as you?
So prior to my current school, which is Innovation Middle, we just opened that last year. We worked together at Lake Nona High School, and we actually met at Freedom High School. She's the Algebra 1 teacher, I'm the geometry teacher, so the students typically have her before me, and then they get Mr. Grimm. So
Mr. Grimm, how does that work out? By the way, I have to ask you that. So if I have a teacher whose last name is Grimm, I'm like, what's happening?
So everyone thinks initially that my name fits my personality, because I'm usually very serious looking, even though I have a great sense of humor, and I love to just enjoy teaching, get the kids interested, because at the end of the day, you either love math or you don't love it.
So that's what you teach. You teach math.
So prior to last year, I had always taught math, correct. But right now, I'm currently a physical education teacher at Innovation Middle School, and also am in charge of their athletic programs.
Wow. So you do PE. We still call it PE.
Yeah.
Do you still dress out for PE?
We still dress out in PE.
That's old school.
It's definitely one of the most tragic things for middle school students.
Yeah,
having to dress out. So
they have. I mean, that was just a crazy time. Well, I did it back way in the day, but yeah, I would have. But haven't they cut? What are the things going on with physical education? Because everything that you hear in the news, especially in the media, is that they've cut out athletic programs, PE, physical education, the arts. Are you seeing that in the school system?
So what I see for physical education specifically is a lot of students are finding ways that they have what's called a waiver now. So students can get a waiver for PE, and what that means is they have some sort of activity in their life outside of school that satisfies that physical education requirement that they can use that waiver for. In high school, specifically for graduation requirements, there is only 1 credit of physical education that's required, and that's a HOPE class. And I would probably guess 70 to 80% of the incoming 9th graders will take that online.
What's a HOPE class?
So it stands for Health and Other Physical Education. So it combines the PE part with the health part into one big course. So that was something that was created.
Susie Lisboa, do you know? Hey, Susie. Do you know Susie? First of all, she said, "Hey, handsome." I'm pretty sure she was talking to you. She said, "My stepson has 3 days of PE this year." And it's fascinating because back in the day, we went to PE every day, if I remember correctly. Florida Heat, that was fun. But yeah, there's a lot of kids who also had extracurriculars that did other stuff, and it's just changed a lot. The approach to physical education, the approach to didn't we used to have like the presidential something?
The presidential physical fitness.
Right, and I just remember dying during that. But I remember it. I remember it fondly. I don't remember it in a bad way.
I remember in 6th grade, this was in Seminole County at South Seminole Middle School. In elementary school PE, there's not usually a test for physical fitness. No. And 6th grade, they said we're doing the mile, and I don't think I had ever actually ran the mile for time. And I remember just going out there, and I'll spare you the details, but I remember that I was not feeling too well.
Yeah, I know. Mile. I don't know how anybody runs. So, God bless you, that anybody who does track or cross country in Florida Heat, it's a lot. That was my favorite thing, was the short runs.
I actually ran my first marathon last October.
No way.
Yeah, Chicago.
Oh, you ran the Chicago?
Yeah, it was amazing.
How long? Like, what is a marathon again? It's 26 miles or something? 26.2
Oh my gosh.
Miles, yeah. I don't even think I could drive 26.2 miles at this point.
And the hardest part in Florida, if you're from Florida, the training is all summer because most of your training is done through the months of July, August, September. So it's pretty brutal. We were usually getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and at 5 o'clock.
No. Do you still train now? Is that part of your? What do you do? What do you do to blow off steam?
So I do still continue to run a little bit, and they actually just opened up a new gym in Lake Nona that I've been going to. So I really enjoy getting up and going to that gym. Some personal quiet time. I mean, it's not quiet, but kind of my own independent time. I used to fish go fishing. Especially over there in the Brevard County area, Indian River and Mosquito Lagoon. But with life, it gets a little bit more hectic with kids, so it's not as easy to go over and go fishing for 8 hours. So I definitely enjoy that fitness thing.
So tell me your why, and then I want to ask you some specific questions about education, because the title of the show is putting heart back into education, or the education system. Bonnie Grimm is on.
That's my mom.
Oh, that's your mom. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Mom. So what was your why? What was your catalyst for going, all right, I'm a teacher, I love what I do. When you take on that responsibility of becoming a candidate and running for office, that means that there's a desire, I believe, for you to do more. Mm-hmm. So what was the catalyst there? What was the turning point, if there was one, that put the light bulb on, and David Grimm said, I'm going to run for office, I'm going to be a candidate?
So, as I mentioned, this is going on my 21st year of education, and I have everywhere I've worked, every school I've worked at, I've just poured my heart and soul into that. To me, being an educator is not just coming to school, working your contracted time, and then heading home, and you don't get involved with the school life that each school provides. So I've worked at all three levels, elementary, middle, and high school, and I believe that each of those has a different community environment. Elementary school, of course, we have the carnivals, we have different activities that you can get involved with the younger kids. Middle school, we start to get into the interscholastic athletics. We have dances, we have some other events that go on in middle school. And then high school, there's countless. I've been a senior class advisor, I've been a student council advisor, I've been an assistant athletic director, I've coached multiple sports. And to me, being a part of the culture of a school is truly what has impacted me the most. Now, unfortunately, probably about 5 to 7 years ago, there's been some changes that have happened in education. It's probably been going on for longer. It's just, this is when I really started to pay attention. District mandated things that have been put on teachers, things at the state level when it comes to the laws and legislation that's been passed. The over-testing that we face, the kids, my daughter just finished 3rd grade last year, which is the first year of FSA, where it can keep you from advancing from 3rd to 4th grade. So the pressures that the kids are under, high school students specifically, AP tests, AP classes, the pressures of performing to get into specific colleges, the work that teachers are being asked to do above and beyond their duty days, the pressures that are on administration. If your school grade goes down to from an A to a B, you have the potential of being removed from your job. Right. The pressures on parents for their kids to perform. Now the biggest thing going on in our district is the implementation of district technology. So the parents and the kids are facing stress from that. There's just so many things that I believe have been put on us as teachers, on the students, on the schools, and on the parents that I just believe that some of that heart that I always talk about in education is kind of not necessarily gone away, because there's still a lot of people that pour their heart and souls into their jobs and into education, but there's all of this has just made school almost to the point where it's not fun.
Right.
A few years back, parents had to fight just to have students have recess, which created this group of recess moms and dads that fought just to have their kids to have some time at school where they weren't focused on grades and what practice they were doing. They just had that free release to be kids. Yeah. And so I started to really pay attention and get involved in my school level issues as well as the county issues, and just learning more about the system and all the things that are taking place on the district level, state, and really the federal level when it comes to education. And I learned that the current school board member, was not seeking re-election, and she's done a great job with everything, and I just felt as though that I needed to be a voice for all those people that I mentioned as who the heart of education is. And I believe my experience, which is very broad in the classroom and beyond, of 21 years in Orange County, and as a resident here in Orange County, as a father in Orange County, I just feel as though I really have a lot to bring to our school board, so we can bring back that heart.
What was the decision-making process like that? Because a lot of us have had those feelings, either in education, my wife's a teacher, and then you get frustrated, but to take it to the next level, when you made the decision, that's a big decision on your part. That's a family decision. Yeah. That's you have to, obviously there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration. How did that look? Because getting involved, it's one thing to be super involved in PTA or different organizations. It's another thing to be on the school board where you're actually implementing changes and have to take a look at all of this stuff from a budgetary and programmatic standpoint. So what about in your family? How did that decision-making process go?
So my wife knew that I was interested. This actually became a topic that about 4 years ago, there was a teacher in another part of the district that ran, and he just barely, 67 votes that he did not get elected 4 years ago, actually. And so he was a big motivation for me to potentially run. So this was a conversation that our family had had multiple times, and then one day I was just sitting there thinking, I think I was actually running, and I went home and I looked at my wife and I said, it's time. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I said, it's time for the school board. And so she's been my biggest supporter, not just during things that we're working on for the campaign, but of course, when I am out and about for 7 hours a day, she is there doing all the things that needs to be done at home with my daughter, family things, groceries, you name it. She's been amazing, and
awesome. Gee, it was definitely a family decision.
100%. If she had told me this isn't going to work for us, no question, 100%, I wouldn't have done it. Family's number one. This is what I believe as a father, as a husband, as a teacher, as an athletic director. If I have a coach that comes to me and says they have an issue with their family, then family's number one.
I agree. Yeah. All right, so tell us, so you're running, and you mentioned previously a lot of topics, a lot of things that are on your mind about things that you feel like have been put on the teachers, the parents, the administrators. What is some of your top things when you get into office that you want to accomplish? Because it sounds good when you're running and you're talking about it and you have a passion, and then you get into office and you realize there's a lot of governmental stuff that you have to deal with. I have many friends that are in office, and they talk about how they have a lot of things they want to accomplish, but it takes longer.
Right.
And there's more people involved. It's not just you with an idea anymore. It's you and an entire school board, for example. So what are some of the topics that are super important to you that you have an answer for? Some things that you want to change or implement, like I can ask you about FSA, which is a sore spot for a lot of people, or whatever you want to talk about. Give us some ideas.
Well, like you said, there's so many topics that we could talk about. But number one is student safety and school safety. I believe that our district has taken some small steps over the last few months to increasing the safety of our students and staff. I believe we can do more. Last February when everything happened down at Stoneman Douglas, I was hoping to see some instant changes on campus. As a teacher, especially as a PE teacher, we're out on the PE field, and one day I was just looking around and thought to myself, we're in trouble if somebody ever came to campus. And I think it's a difficult challenge that is facing these schools, and being able to protect the kids and making sure they're safe 100%. But I think there's some small things that can be done that aren't necessarily contingent upon funding from the state or the county. These are things that we can take care of probably right away. So you're talking about securing the buildings with a single point of entry. Right now we have schools that have so many ways to get in throughout the day.
Right.
I'll use high schools as an example. You have students that potentially could be at dual enrollment, so they're coming and going throughout the day.
Right.
You have students that might be going to one of the technical colleges. So again, there's lots of travel in the schools back and forth throughout the day. So I think having one single controlled entry point is a good start.
Right.
Definitely increasing the mental health services for our students, whether that be through school psychologists. All the high schools have a SAFE coordinator, and I think that they've started to add those to middle school. These need to be trained professional mental health counselors. I love football coaches. I coached football, but I know in the past there have been SAFE coordinators who are the head football coach.
Right.
Now, if they're a trained mental health counselor, great. That's probably one of the best people to have on campus to take care of your kids. But if they're not, we definitely need to look at having those trained professionals helping our students so we can reach those kids earlier, all the way down to elementary school. Obviously, we need a law enforcement officer on our campus, every single campus, not just high school. I don't believe in the program that the state implemented, which is allowing potentially teachers to be armed. We are teachers. We're there to educate our students. We are not there to carry firearms.
I mean, I don't talk a lot of politics, but since my wife's a teacher, I can't even imagine. First of all, as some of the crazy kids, I didn't want to have some of those teachers that probably wanted to kill me have a gun. Not that they would, but just having to have that added stress of having to figure out where that gun is all the time. I mean, I am definitely going on air and telling you I think that is a bad idea.
I would agree 100%. And I'm glad that our school board came right out and said that they're not for that.
But not all school boards did. That's
Correct.
What's fascinating.
We actually have some neighboring schools.
Because it goes down to county or city or school, whatever the school board is, gets to make the decision based on what the state said. So I'm very happy Orange. I know we have some neighboring ones, and I just find that to be, let's add some more danger to the stuff that's already going on, but that's my little soapbox. I agree with you 100%. That's actually when my wife would leave teaching. Yeah. There's no way that she's going to carry a gun with a whole bunch of 3rd and 4th graders. So I'm with you on that.
Yep. 100%. So school safety is number one. You mentioned FSA. The students are over-tested 100%. And I'm aware that there are a lot of requirements by state law that as a school board member I cannot change, I cannot go against because they are law. However, there are a lot of assessments that aren't required by the state of Florida that I think we need to get rid of. Our students are over-tested. I think we need to take a really big look at that, and I know that firsthand because my daughter, like I mentioned, was in 3rd grade last year, which is one of the big grade levels for standardized tests. So getting rid of things that aren't required, I believe, is a good first step when it comes to the over-testing.
They're so over-tested. I had a friend whose child was in 3rd grade and they failed part of it, and so there's this whole thing where you can't, even if your grades are good, you can't advance, right? If you don't pass.
So you could, if you pass the class, you can move on. Let's say I'll use Algebra 1 as an example. If you pass the class, you can move on to the next course. However, you continuously have to make up or retake that Algebra 1 exam until you get a specific score. Now, they do have some options for a concordant replacement, but they continually change those requirements as well. There used to be a test called the PERT test that's actually going away, and now it's going back to the ACT, SAT scores. So they make it challenging, and some will say, and I tend to agree, that there is an attack on public education when it comes to the state level. I know that there needs to be options for some students. Not all schools, not all public schools are the same, and not all students can be successful in the public school setting.
Correct.
But we need it. So having options for those kids is great, and that's when you talk about charter schools and things like that. But anytime you have money that's provided by the state, that public money, we definitely need to have oversight by our school boards, and they should have the same accountability, if they're using public funds. So, which brings me to the 1 mil tax referendum, which is actually on the ballot. It's going to be up for renewal. It's actually not a new thing, but this 1 mil has been approved the last 8 years for extra funding for Orange County, and I believe we need it. So I'm going to encourage everyone that's voting or tomorrow that they check yes for that question. It's the 1 mil tax for Orange County residents, for school board, or for the Orange County Public Schools. So
it ends up not being a lot per. I think I read an article how much that
$1 for every 1,000. So if you have $100,000, that's $100.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's not new. It's just something that's being renewed. So you're not going to see an increase in your taxes.
Correct. It's just to continue it. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. You don't want to not continue that. We're already suffering in the classroom. Let's not take that money away from them.
So I just believe that we need to have accountability and transparency as a school board for that money. I think projection is $143 million that's going to bring in to help offset costs for teachers, retention, programs such as the arts, visual arts, performing arts, athletics. So I think it's very important for us to have that money. However, I believe as a school board member, I want to make sure that the citizens of Orange County know exactly how that's being spent in specific detail, and so we have that transparency from them.
All right, so we're going to share all of, it goes by fast, right?
Okay,
we're going to share all of David's contact information, how you can reach out to him. Please get out and vote. We're going to let him finish this up, but I keep pushing this on every show the last week or so, and you're going to have opportunities in different races to vote again in November. So get out and vote and make a difference. It really does matter. Your vote matters. I promise you it matters. Anything you want to leave them with before we head out?
So as you go to the polls tomorrow for Election Day, I just encourage you to do your research tonight. Make sure you know who you're voting for. Don't go by simply by name recognition. Don't go simply by who's been endorsed by who. Actually research these candidates, especially for these local races such as school board chair, your county commission, county mayor. Those things are very important and affect our daily lives much more than things like the governor or Senate. So make sure you do your research. And for me specifically, my website is www.vote4grimm.com. You can also catch me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Vote4Grimm, and you will see us throughout the day today and tomorrow as Election Day comes. And if you have any questions, you can email me at david@vote4grimm.com.
All right. You've been a joy. Break a leg
Appreciate it.
tomorrow. Is that what
Thank
we
you so
say?
much.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Many blessings to you. Great show. You did a fantastic
Thank
job.
you.
We love you guys. Go out and vote
Rock the
tomorrow.
vote, guys.
Rock that vote. Make a difference. All right. We love you. See you tomorrow. Come on.